Experiential learning and experimental play. These two are wonderful things to do for anyone, child, adult, parent, teacher. But most of all, it's a very important part of the Speaking House, this new school, this new system of education that I've developed and want to now build with your help. So I thought, let's take something that I love. Just look behind me. Color. I love color. Always have. It has enlivened me. It has expanded me, thrilled me. And I want to talk about how one thing, one interest can be developed into almost every subject of the traditional curriculum. Because how children learn in this place at the Speaking House is not this very strange linear boxed snapshot separation between different subjects, chemistry over here and biology and geography and art and music and maths and physics and French and German and Japanese and Russian. This separation is convenient, especially when you're trying to drill 30 people in a class to remember something, but we're throwing rote learning out the window. Sometimes it's useful if you want to remember a quote, or you're learning a part for a play that you've written, or your friends have written, or you're studying one that's already been existing, or you want to recite a poem. Yes, sometimes good to have rote learning, but most of all, I really detest it personally. But because we don't understand things when we just imprint. And we need to understand the knowledge if we want to be able to use it and develop it and innovate with it. So this is a page of my sketch notes about color. Now, also at the Speaking House, it's about learning not just inside a classroom, but outside, having outside spaces, having this interaction with nature as a normal part of learning. So there are areas devoted to growing things, cultivating things for food, medicines, tinctures, paints, plant dyes. It goes on and on. So let's go to color. Okay. Now, there is a brilliant woman who lives in Austria and does beautiful workshops, and I'm going to put some of her images from her website up here so you can just get a hang of what she does. She details plants you can grow. So we have an area at the Speaking House where a wide variety of different plants that you can grow for making color. Now, there are different kinds of making color, and have a look at some of these images that will be interspersed as I talk. You can make it naturally, just using the extract of the plant, but that doesn't tend to be very fixed for very long. It fades quite quickly, but you can make that from plants, you can make it from charcoal, from earths, raw or burnt, so either just dry and powdered or burnt. But then if you add something called a mordant to it, you get another chemical change, and you can hold the potency of that color and enrich it. Now, just in that description alone, we've talked about chemistry. Have you noticed? Let's go back to the plots where things are grown. Now, different plants need different kinds of soil, different kinds of microclimate. So it may not be possible to have one area just for plant dyes. They may be all over the property, but they will be managed by the children, by the adults working in those areas. So they can gather the plants. Now, they can not only analyze the growth of plants, the ultimate way to look after those as part of the project of color, they will also understand how to harvest and how to process those plants into color. And so many different variations, as we said, wild natural, just printing or refining, drying, powdering, storing, using other mordants to make them into a fixed paint, paints for different things, fabric dyes, paints for paintings, oil paints, acrylic paints. It goes on. So that's just the using plants and soils, collection of different soils. You have to analyze, you have to understand what soil would be right. Now, just think of this, going around collecting soil samples and analyzing them. That is geology, is it not? That also involves geographical knowledge. It involves all of these cross-curricular activities, but you're making your paints. Okay, let's go back to the central thing of color. Color is not just about paints to paint with, although these are delightful. It's also, let's take something else very simple. Ta-da! Clothing, plant fabric dyes, plant and soil fabric dyes, insect. There are some, think of cochineal. They are used for even food colouring for our M&Ms and nasty things that some people eat. But plants mostly and soil for colouring of fabrics, wool, different fibres. Now that's another subject of this colour thing. Our use of clothing. So you can take the things that you're growing and experiment with that. Then you've got, what else have you got? The psychological impact of wearing certain colours. That might take you into different fibres. That has a very different effect on the human. There are people who measure the level of frequency of different fibres for the transmission of electromagnetic frequency from the body into the auric field. Things like the plastic polyesters are obviously not so very good as the cashmeres or the organic cottons, etc. Okay, now we've had painting beautiful pictures and making color. We've got creating dyes for clothing and cloth, all kinds of cloth. Let's take another very normal everyday thing. Wall paint, yes, wonderful. Fabrics, yes, these are linked to those paints, but also the colors in your environment. Now, there are homes with certain colors. There are agendas of certain colors. Think of, in the 1970s, if you're that old, avocado green and that strange rose pink were the colors for your bathroom. And then everything moved to white porcelain, and then all the walls were magnolia. But if you lived in Germany, they were white, just white, just white. And then it moved from magnolia to different tones of grey. And now it's dark colours. Now, that's cultural conditioning and programming in your home, in the environments, in the pubs, in the restaurants, in the supermarkets. Marks and Spencer went all black for their shelves. It all looked very terribly cool, and black shiny ceilings and floors. There are signs and semiotics in the colours of our environment. Now, that's just for aesthetic and making you purchase things, focusing your eyes onto things, advertising, colour. That's a whole area of memetics, of semiotics, the signs and symbols going on with colour. Cultural programming, white, magnolia, grey. We'll talk about that in a moment. It's a very minimalist colour palette. Basically, it's not colour. Interesting preparation for what comes later. Then think of things like flags. Semiotics pure, all about colour representation of a nation in a flag. That's cultural. That's very interesting, historical colour. Now, where do we move from there? We've got the basic ways of painting. Then you've got painting your environments, shaping your environments, creating states of being. There are now also lighting systems that change our perception, change our behavior, because our hormonal system, the entire endocrine system with the hypothalamus, help a little bit by the pineal gland too, react to different levels of color and secrete different levels of melatonin. That's the hormone that helps you mellow out. So there are studies, more or less, all about different colored light. Now, if you're studying color, if this is your passion, my goodness, how many subjects have we touched on already for this group of children who've made this their project? Exciting. So we go into the psychology of color, the different frequencies. Then you might look at the different bulbs that are used, the old tungsten incandescent bulbs that we don't use anymore, with beautiful filaments. We're all on LEDs that has a different flicker intensity. What about the fluorescent lights? Why do we only have LEDs? Why do we not have tungstens? It goes on and on and on. There are levels to understand. This is about color light. From color light, oh my goodness, this is exciting. Plants and light reaction. Think of the way the insects, the pollinators, are attracted to the ultraviolet colors in flowers. Some of you may have seen that. Special light frequencies embedded in the color of the pigment of the flower. So that's ultraviolet. Infrared, used for long sight vision in military operations, used for certain different conditions, not normal, very unusual but interesting, allows you to perceive in very low qualities of light. There are infrared lamps that you can use. So we have frequency of light for different kinds of perception, and a plant will grow according to the spectrum, the quantity of light and the quality of light during a day, during a season, during a year. So you have enormous amounts of experiments you could do with plant growth based on the color of the light. Whoa. Okay. So we have moved from just growing your plants to make your colors all the way to that, including all of our environments. There are many things that are left, like the temperature of something is usually indicated by a color. Think of that. We have emotional resonance with certain colors. We say red is for anger, green is bilical, yellow is lack of courage. But on other spectrum, yellow is the height of consciousness, blue, etheric, ethereal, angelic. We have these whole cultural spectrums. We have, oh my gosh, we have the hijab and the whole Arabic, Islamic conditioning of the women in black. You shall wear black, and the men are allowed to wear white. What's that about? Color. Holding people in a certain shape, form, condition. From that, so that's part of the cultural semiotics of color. Then you go to AI. A lot of people don't notice this, but I point it out because I am an artist and I adore color, and I adore all of the differences I can find in color, all of the subtle nuances. I study fields to see how the colors change so I can try and embed it within me when I'm drawing, when I'm bringing something, that I understand how to bring something in front, how to get something receding, make it further away, etc. That's what an artist needs to do. AI is doing something with our color. Now, that's something worth researching as children. They would notice it because children are alert and open. So you give them one topic, actually they take it, they choose it. At the speaking house, the children choose, and they make contractual deals with the different talented adults. You might make a deal with one of the plants people at the school. You might make a deal with one of the design and construction people at the school. You might make a deal with one of the technological people at the school. You might make a deal with one of those making chemicals, and so much more to this. Let's go back to the AI briefly. AI knows there is a color wheel. Goethe was one of those who put that together, but it's been around for a long time, all the way back to Pythagoras and prior to that. On the color wheel, you have things such as purple and yellow opposite each other, cobalt blue and a more ochre yellow. Now, AI is obviously a technological being without subtlety, without soul. And so it uses mathematics. And I can tell every image that's AI because of the color balance, the color ratio. What it also does is, because of that calculated design of color, it narrows the spectrum. So I see at the moment, there is a current group of AI with a kind of goldy yellow, which is quite attractive, a sort of a sienna brown, burnt sienna, that Rembrandt used quite a lot of color of that. So you have a golden ochre, this burnt sienna, and a kind of chrome blue. And those colors, again, which is all cute and charming, but not any other colors. So there's the AI entrapment of consciousness, narrowing us down into a narrower vision of color. It's very important to differentiate. That's what technology is doing. Go out to nature, child studies color, and they can measure at least 20 different tones of green in a barley field. Or if they're growing lupins for color, they can see that on one plant alone, there are many myriad different variations. This is one of the ways we're going to be learning. Nature has everything. We have squished and squashed. Think of that woman in her hijab and the niqab, completely covering her in black. She can't even look out of her eyes. Complete restriction of her humanity and freedom. Same thing with the AI. It's just we think it's a pretty picture and we don't realize how we're being squished. It's very important that experiential learning and experimental play lead, because you allow synchronicity. And what is that? That's the spirit speaking through you. Oh, have a look over here. A little intuitive nudge. Try this. Oh, that's playful. That's fun. Oh my gosh, what happened? Let's find out. And if you have adults there who say, okay, yes, good. And we're documenting this because we're being little scientists about this. This is play and we document it. And you have an agreement about how you document it, and you can then share that in presentations. Wow. Now that's another kind of world, because in that world, innovation triumphs, new solutions are found, discoveries. And that is what makes going to school the thrill. A child responsible for its own ability to discover, reveal, and share. That is New Earth education at the Speaking House. And I really do hope you feel inspired to share this, spread the word, and bring people to the donation page. I am collecting money to set this up, to build it, to build a showcase place that people, teachers, parents, families, children can come and stay for a while, experience it, take away the information and go and make their own. We need a new kind of education. We need a full blossoming human being activating our human potential. I'm Dr. Isabella May. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.